Hello, guys. Just wanted to share this. Seems like a fun thing to do. One of the things I do is I play my characters in a lot of different games and stuff, and it's always like a fun thing for me to do. So right here we've got my latest playthrough of, or like the start of it at least, of the Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, and we're playing as Duke. Duke is not easy to make because I've played Duke a lot of different ways. But the first time I played Duke in Elden Ring, it was mostly like a misery cord build with rock sling. I don't still have that save, I don't think. But here's a different like version of it. He's kind of a roguish character, so I thought going into the DLC, I picked up a fresh save, leveled it up to 150 with an emphasis on vigor, dex, endurance, and some arcane in there, and I think 17 faith or something like that, just for a couple of buffs. Though, as you'll see, like I'm starting off with these backhand blades that I really like, and I have a casting seal and a couple of buff spells like Blood Flame Blade. I don't love buffing; it burns me out. So Blood Flame Blade's going to go the way of the dodo. We're going to just switch over to like a Blood Infusion pretty quickly after this. But these blades were very, very fun as a weapon to pick up, and you literally can just walk over to these at the start of the DLC. Like, people are very, like, even almost a month out now, cautious of spoilers, and, like, there's no way you can spoil yourself trying to go get these blades. Um, they're very, very fun. The new weapon type, there's only like three of them each of the new weapon types, and this one I really like. I mean, people have been talking about it a ton, so like I'm sure if you're like in the know on this stuff, you'll know. But like as you can see here, the special weapon of these moves, the Ash of War, is super, super fun. You just kind of zoom to the left or to the right. I think it's input based, which is very cool. And you hook around and do this backstab. It's not like a visceral or anything, but it's got iframes. Like you can get through quite a bit of this. Now, the downside that a lot of people have brought up and that I've definitely noticed is it does chunk your stamina bar. But even without that, I think there's one other really, really good Ash of War for just the base, backhand blades that I definitely want to try out once I get to it, and I'm getting close. Is a ton of fun. It really, really is. And on the bright side, as we can see here, it's just a fun weapon to use. I think that they're not like the fastest when you're like just whipping them out into a combo attack or anything like that. Um, like the startup feels a tiny, tiny bit slow for a combo, but the running attack is like seamless. You don't stop running. Now, if you try and combo off that, it does kind of break into the normal combo, it feels like, which is still, the combo itself is very fast. It's just the startup is the tiniest bit slow. And it doesn't seem like it, does the greatest amount of like stance or poise. I forget which is which, but it feels really good. I like these weapons a lot. So you'll see me just running around here, not very successfully against the Black Jail Knight, who is just the coolest enemy. I mean, I just wanted to say that just right out of the gate. Like I know people are like, oh, I hate fighting these like NPC enemies and these aren't really bosses. I'm like, yeah, this is a boss. And this is your welcome to the DLC boss. He's right there at the start of the DLC. Literally, and people run past him because they're like, oh my god, there's so much that I can do, so much that I can see. And it's like, no, just, he's right there. And he's 100% meant to be basically a starter kit. Like, hey, congrats, you made it to the DLC. I don't know if you've been playing this game in months since the DLC came, or if you did a getting to know you again kind of replay or something like that. The Black Jail Knight, though, he's here for you. He's got a cool new weapon. He's got great armor that is sick as fuck. And thanks to Zuli the Witch, we know that under the hood, it's just meant to look like guts, which is fucking awesome. So, awesome, awesome. Now, I'm calling it a first boss. He's positioned here so that you can come in here and you can get good if you want. I don't get good. I'm trying my best here, but I'm using a light weapon, and he's pretty tough. He's a tough enemy. I know a lot of people who have been just struggling against this guy as soon as they get into the DLC, because most of them are like, oh, hey, first boss. They don't have any Shadow Tree levels. They don't have anything going for them yet. They might be coming in from the base game with, like, months of not playing the game, or if they have, kind of switching up a new build. A ton of people are coming into, like, the DLC area completely naked, like, I want to only use brand new stuff, which is perfectly valid. But it's going to make the first fight difficult if you're doing this. Yeah, I mean, just really cool. Like, look at him. He's got a cool sword, and he's got a nice little vacuum slash. It's a nice little combo move, too, which I really liked about the DLC, as we'll see going through it. a lot of the new weapons, a lot of the new Ashes of War, and that sort of stuff, it all still has like it's got a lot of follow up attack skills where it's got like a primary, like, hey, this is your big burst attack or whatever, and then it's got a secondary input that it allows, which I think is just really nice because it's not just a one off press L1 and you're done. It's also like a, hey, can I do the full thing? Can I do a little bit more? Can I combo this? And that's always good. So here you're going to see me start to mix around with the build a bit and yeah, I think I had like I'd run around like I said. And when I picked up some armor and the backhand blades for this, specifically the Oathseeker armor, which is right behind where you spawn into the DLC from, and it's a really nice set. I mean, it's kind of light, unfortunately, and I don't like wearing a ton of headgear. So I think as we get going into this, I'm gonna be mixing up the build a bit, but you'll be seeing me playing around with that. Really, really pretty set, which is fucking rare in Elden Ring. There's so many ugly fucking armor sets that are just poorly constructed, and this one looks halfway decent. I think at the start here, I was also like trying to keep a light load, and I think I've since abandoned that and moved mostly into medium load and maybe some bull goat talisman to hit like 51 to 53 poise. I think if I'm using that altered commoner headband, and like I think I swapped on like the Malekith trousers for a good chunk of it. But it's just been a ton of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna pop in and out with a little bit of commentary here and there. You're welcome to just leave me running in the background, a little bit of that, or just like enjoy. I think. I mean, this is just something I wanted to do because I wanted to play more of the DLC. I wanted to, like just run around a little bit, and I'm like, I could put a few minutes of voiceover on. Why not? So yeah, enjoy. You'll see a lot of me just running around in this big cool world, and especially trying to go meet all the NPCs who I fucking love. I mean, the NPCs don't get much in this game. They don't get much in Souls games in general, to be honest. Like, you could summarize most of the long NPC quest lines in sentences, and if that's including, like, if you put all of their direct quotes in there for what's happening with them. But I like these NPCs a lot. Like, we just passed Freya. We didn't stop to talk to her this time, but she's really cool. She's got a lot going on. I love her armor, her look, especially. I'm definitely going to do a Hershey build that's just fully based on her. And right up here, we've got the goat Ansbach. Now, I don't, I'm not someone who uses like the goat in my vernacular, but like, I really do like Ansbach. He's just such a cool character, and he's just generally so like, I don't know, he's the nice guy of this one. It's like, you get a nice NPC. It's nice. I'm going to say the word nice a lot because he's just generally like a pretty kosher dude. He's just friendly, and that's so rare. Like he doesn't drop any slurs in the middle of chatting you up, which is like pretty rare. I feel like. I mean, like trust me, I love my Bloodborne, but like half the characters are calling other people like inferior or monsters and stuff like that, and it's like I'll take Ansbach. I'll take him like just saying yes, I served for the bad guy, but you're pretty cool, I guess. I love Ansbach. And more. He's just over there. I'm not going to be talking to Moore much because Moore's questline scares me and saddens me, and I don't want to mess it up. So don't think that I'm not wanting to talk to Moore. I'm just scared of talking to Moore. But yeah. Something that I'm going to throw in here as well. It's just that I really like the world building of the Shadow of the Erdtree. It's very mixed, which is it's tricky. I don't love some of Bellarat so much as I love other areas that are connected to Bellarat or some implications therein. But it's such a cool area, and people have covered this in like extensive detail. But like the ancient Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Babylonian influence that we can see throughout is very cool. Tons of the structures in this game are just straight up like scans of existing real life structures that have just been input into the game to either build on or to just like exist, and they're cool. Like I think this is a really cool area. Now, I'm still like one of the areas of DLC and just Elden Ring lore that I'm still kind of nebulous on is the Hornsent who are responsible for the revered spirit ashes. I learned a little bit about that, and then I need to still follow up with it. But just like the Bellarat Tower civilization entirely is just very cool, and I like that there were all of those hints that yellow like ochre color that we saw throughout the base game, like some hints of it in like the Prophet and some of the other areas. They were alluding all to this, and we get to see that like firsthand. We see this beautiful like these spiraling structures that are core to the religious philosophy of these people. There's some very good commentary on, like the systems of power and how they lead one civilization to, pick another civilization or people or culture and to, through the process of war and all of that awful stuff, like attack each other in vicious cycles of violence that's always fueled by, these engines of power. But like I think that's the main like topic of focus in the DLC. And I think it comes across really well in the visual storytelling. Like I don't know about you guys, but when I see some of these like Babylonian Mesopotamian influences, definitely like reads loud and clear that this is an ancient civilization in a way, and that's much what we're supposed to be taking from it. Like we're introduced to this whole side series and like everything that's happening here that runs kind of in parallel to the main story of the game of the base game, and we very much get the thread throughout that like, hey, this is ancient. This is from the time when Marika was young. This is from the time when the rules of the Elden Ring, the decay of that society, and that, ongoing battle that we're, like following the Shattering War that we're dealing with the aftermath of. Like, this is before that. This has been around before that. And in some ways, it's going to be around after. Uh, it's cool. I like it a lot. And, like, I don't know. You can make a Gilgamesh build. You can't tell me you can't on a game like this. But like, look at it. It's fun. Um, yeah. Generally, Bellarat's kind of a weird place to be running around in. That's something that I was thinking of as I was doing my like second-ish playthrough of the DLC. That was solo, and that was mostly like because there's areas of it that you would just not see unless you were looking for them, or that you'd have to like purposefully go back to. And I love that design. But also, there's some of them, especially because of how the reward system of the DLC is structured, where I'm not pushed the most to go explore those areas in the first place. Especially when, surprise, the only reward you get for doing so is a fight with a ulcerated tree spirit that they reused a bunch, which I don't love. But generally just running around Bellarat was really cool, and we get some really cool characters out of it. Like, I think Hornsent is maybe his story is kind of a little short for the most interest, but we'll get into that as we head more towards the Shadowkeep. But for like just the Bellarat settlement itself, very cool area, especially with the Hornsent Grand Dam just calling Marika a strumpet. It's a lot of flavor. I like it a lot. So yeah, there's some of the thoughts as we're heading up towards that site of grace right here. So, don't quote me on this, but I kind of really like Queeline as an NPC, or as a hostile invader at the very least. I don't know. He's just kind of endearing for some weird way. Maybe it's because he's a bit of a girl boss. Maybe because it's a bit of baby girl energy. Also, just man fail. I don't know. I kind of like him. I think he's cool. I've tried using the summon in my other plays, and the damage is good. He's aggressive. He buffs himself pretty well, and he gets in there. Like I never have to worry about Queenline not doing his thing. Unfortunately, he's. It's not that he's squishy. It's just that his playstyle doesn't provide him any like defensive opportunities, which unfortunately means against some of the hyper aggressive bosses, especially the later game bosses, he dies so fast. But as you can see here, at the start of these encounters, it's me that's dying so fast. I kind of want to try out his greatsword. I don't know if I ever will though, because I'd like to have him as a summon. What do you guys think? Should I use him as a summon and kind of have him be the Pluto to the Duke? He is blonde, but that bowl cut is rough.
Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of Messmer's flame. My words, graceless heathen, thou shalt not evade the flame of Messmer.
And here we are heading over to meet with her in the storeroom. I think that the Grandam is a really interesting and cool character. I just saw a video, I think it was by Rage Gaming, who covered it pretty well. It was like very cool. About if you happen to have attacked the Horned Grandams and she's not in the sanctuary area, about how the way that does her audio for her lines for activating the Lion Dancer fight. Oh boy, that hurt me emotionally. Who would attack this beautiful lady? So you see me doing a little gesture for her. Yeah, don't be a bad person. Don't attack the horns and Grandam. Like I'm glad that I know that they took the time, the care to make two different versions of her intro for the boss fight. But like, what's wrong with you? Um, but yeah, if you're doing this, make sure you come back and you talk to her. You can go meet her in the first place, and she gives some interesting context about like the war that Mesmer has been waging against the Tower civilization. Or you can just not, which is very missable, and come back later. She'll be quiet and not talking to you unless you're wearing the lion mask that you get from the boss, in which case she'll, talk to you like you're one of the sculpted keepers, which is just interesting world lore in and of itself. The lion dance, this culture, this depiction of invoking that divine beast, whether she's all together here, which is, like this is a world without death. Who knows how many, centuries, millennia that these people have been going through all of this. I mean, there's definitely some of the hollowing idea that's in and throughout Ballarat and through the DLC, where it's like, okay, yeah, people are not doing good with their immortality imposed by America. It's interesting, and there's plenty to explore with that. And I think running over right here, do I go the direction that I'm hoping I'm going? No, I don't know where I'm going. I'm going somewhere. I should probably cut this part out. But if you wanted to hear me just meander and forget which part that I had gone where, this is it. This is that. Welcome. You made it. So here we are heading into one of the first forge dungeons that's like right to the right of the um I can't remember what it's called all of a sudden now, but R'Lana's fortress. Um, I don't love these little smithy areas, but I do like the lore and the characters that the enemies that we meet here. Everyone has seen by now the golems who are just petting their little lava buddies, um, which is cute. And I haven't done it yet, but I think one of the things that I'm going to be doing is time to put the Mimic away for a little bit, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to pick up, if I can find him. Since I don't think I've found him in the time I've played with my nephew or my solo playthrough. I didn't find the summoned Telu the Golem Smith, which I think it's Telu the Golem, who is also a smith. The verbiage confuses me. I'd love to learn some more of the lore that's in there. Um, a golem and rock type stuff, that's very in character for Duke. I know he's a relatively competent summon, so like I think I'll probably be using him as my primary summon as I continue into like the next stint of my playthrough, which should be, I think really cool. I just like the idea of these big golem dudes with these little crystals in their back. That feels very Duke to me. I think that's going to be very appropriate. And another shout out here to the backhand blades. They don't trivialize these guys because anytime you've got like a slow moving enemy in like Elden Ring, it really throws you for a loop because there's a lot of that slow delay where they're like slow and tanky enough where they're just gonna like suddenly snap into like, oh boy does it hurt when they suddenly snap into that fierce like downswing or movement or whatever it is that they're doing. But when it happens and when you can navigate around them, it feels really good, and the backhand blades are really good for that. So like I think that just this guy here taught me a lot of my timing and then my attacks for those crits, for those quote unquote visceral attacks that we know Duke loves so much if you played Duke porn. Um, yeah, it's good stuff. And yeah, I think I would definitely want to use this guy as a summon. So keep an eye out for that when that comes out down the road. And here, hands down, is the weirdest part of these dungeons, which is just you come up, you touch the anvil, and you get the item. This is such a weird thing to me that there's no boss at the end of these dungeons, that you just get a teleport, especially for this one, where the exit is literally right beneath you. You are right at the start of it. They're interesting little areas, and I'm not sure what the storytelling is there. what the idea behind the smithscript stuff is in the first place. Like, what does it all mean? Why are these weapons throwable? I haven't seen any lore videos on that, and I guess I should probably dig into it myself, but I think it's be very cool. And one of the main reasons that we came to this area is to pick up the Smith script daggers in the first place, because throwing daggers also feels pretty Duke. I think these daggers are going to see some of the lesser use in this playthrough, just because, well, to be fully honest, they don't seem super good. But that's because I only have the default Dash of War on them right now, and I'm not spec'd into that throwing build. So I think that they definitely have good use. But I think that they have an incredible use case, which is that they're a very powerful range projectile. I mean, I'm calling them very powerful compared to most of the infinite use projectiles in this game. And unfortunately, when I say infinite use, in the base game, that meant infinite use as in you could hold 999 of them. And you could bring in maybe a 40 of them, or 60 of them, or 100 of them into whatever fight you were using, which absolutely made my consumables only run miserable when I did that way back when. But these daggers and all of the smith script weapons, a bunch of them don't have any cost for like that thrown attack, and that's huge because the damage isn't going to be insane, but the ability to play with spacing is huge, and that's something that people are trying to imitate constantly with like spells and with Ashes of War. So to have that just accessible for free, the trade-off of that being lower damage, totally fair. 100% totally fair and balanced. And that's kind of how it should be balanced. I get some confusion here where maybe I'm just doing something wrong, but like I couldn't find how to change the type for the Ash of War, but maybe I'm just stupid. We'll see. But yeah. Speaking of the favorite weapons in the game that I have, I think number one, very easily, has become Milady, and it will probably be Milady for a very, very long time, just because it feels like the perfect answer to all of my prayers. It's a larger weapon that I really like the moveset of, really like the speed of, and it's a smithing stone weapon, which is not typically my favorite thing. But it's infusible. You can pick up all different kinds of stuff, and you see, I just turned back. I'm going to get it. I've used it on both of my like previous playthroughs, quote unquote, the one I did with my nephew and my own individual one, and it's just my new favorite weapon, especially because it's infusible, because you can put all different kinds of things on it, and you get it right here in Castellensis. I mean, it's like right at the start of the game. All you have to do is cross a bridge and run past some enemies, and that's just to get the base weapon, which is a very nice base weapon. And like I've played around with this thing using its preferred like Ash of War, not the one that it comes with, the wing stance, which absolutely is credible stance. I've played using other ones, like I keep for my Pluto playthrough that I did for my solo, very much the Ash of aspect of the Crucible, Ash 4, the wings. I loved it on that, even though it's really not the ideal weapon for it. I would love Flame Spear on this thing. I'm sure that anything that you put onto Milady is going to feel really good. And just to have it right there, you run across a bridge, you cross some enemies. And if you want wing stance, you have to make it through this area, but like, you don't actually have to fight anything. You can just run past things to get to the Graces and get to it. All of it right at the start area. I think that's really good, Civ. I think that's really good of the developers to have that ready for you and to be able to play with. Because, like, between this, the backhand blade, a bunch of these like new weapon types that you have immediate access to, like the short spear and the throwing weapons, where again no boss is needed. You find them on the map, you go to them, you grab them, and they're all typically within like the first area, so you don't have to worry about like spoiling much of the game or using a weapon that isn't the weapon that you wanted to try out in an early area of the game. I think that aside from maybe hunting down the Shadow Tree fragments, I think that the DLC is going to be really, really nice for people who, like me, just like to pop in with a new build and try something out and see if they like the way that that weapon plays, or do a bit of a roleplay run. So, yeah, it's going to feel good. And here you see I'm working with one of these Black Knights, and I think that's the other enemy that whose not Ash of War, whose ashes I'm considering using as a summon for my spirit. I think there's maybe one or two of these, and they're very fun enemies. The backhand blades make them very fun to like work against, and I hope that that remains the case. Maybe I'll like them if they're fighting alongside me. I know one of them has the tongue move, and that feels really appropriate to use on a Duke playthrough. So keep an eye out, see if I do. And if I don't, tell me that I should have. I think that'd be cool to get feedback on that. Like, oh, you should definitely use this, or you should have thought about this for your roleplay build. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should have. That's me in hypothetical, but like, I think I'm going to feel that way because when I hear back from people about little silly activities like this, which are just for me to do something not productive, but that's creative, and then I can see the result of my efforts when I'm not studying, it goes a long way. But yeah. Hey there. This is the first of probably one of many, many, like, long pauses where I got up and went to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm not pausing the recording and stitching this back together. Now, I could snip this out. I really could, and I probably will try to, because I think this first video that I did the recording of isn't that bad, but I know some of the other ones are really bad, so, if they're really obstructive, let me know. But maybe this is a good time for you to just get up, stretch your legs, or just skip forward in the video a bit, whatever you prefer. But maybe I'll also slip into here and, put some fun facts in here. I don't know. Right here, let's put some, of my thoughts about Castle Ensis in the front of it. I think that's kind of cool to be seeing, like, I'm going to call it like a war front, even though that's probably not the best way to conceptualize it. I think that the way that you can see the visual storytelling as you enter into Castle Ensis and then head into Shadow Atlas and then into the Shadow Keep, I think a very clear story is being told there, and I think it's one that's very interesting. I know I say very a lot, but I really do feel that the Mesmer soldiers in and of themselves as like a penal war that they are being a part of, where they are, and I know that's a funny word for me to be using given context, that they are mostly unwitting soldiers. Many of them who are here either like who have been led here out of their jail cells or to fight for their honor and for freedom, and then to be abandoned here. There's a lot going on there, and the fact that we just see constantly, like in the base game, it doesn't feel like Marika is so much a god. Like there are references to her divinity is espoused constantly, but we don't see many of the signifiers and actions being taken around her that are like, yeah, that's what a god does. That's what a god is about. In the DLC, we do see a fair bit more of that. We see characters who are praying to her, and not just direct, children of Marika, but like we see a bunch of the Mesmer soldiers who are just like making their way through, and they're like many of them have. We would assume it's they who have knocked the heads off the Marika statues. They are clearly frustrated with their god who has forsaken them. But we can also see others, ghosts like the one in Castle Ensis who was praying before the Renala town. Did I flip it? The Relana talisman. Yeah, Relana talisman. Who are desperately calling out to Marika, please, like, come back for your son. Let him come home. Return the shadow, the shadow out from under, whatever we call this area, the shadow of the Erdtree area. It's very interesting, and I definitely do think that there's a natural and logical progression of that we see from the Graveside Plains into Castle Ensis, and then continuing up into Shadow Atlas. Like, I think it's really cool. And it translates pretty well, I'd say. Because if you look at the Mesmer soldiers, the first thing you think to yourself is, oh, it's the good guys. You could be mistaken for that. Like, earlier on in Elden Ring, like at the start of the game when you meet the Godric soldiers, they're wearing like yellows and oranges and greens. They're wearing like kind of okay good guy colors. Like, not hey, this is the good guy color, but like they're wearing colors that are generally like bright, chipper, like would make you think that they're the good guys. Mesmer soldiers, fuck no. They're screaming at you. They're wearing kind of rougher metal armor, kind of more stained chainmail. They use, roar attacks, stomp attacks. They're swinging around double-headed axes, and they're charging you with spears. They're a little more aggro looking and seeming, and that's, kind of saying something compared to like the six-some soldier aspects that we have in the base game. I really like the Mesmer soldiers. They aren't all they aren't all. What's the word I'm looking for? They really don't seem like they're the most unified group. Like, there's variety in there. There's some hints that these guys are not like a disciplined military force so much as they are a little bit of a ragtag occupation force. A little bit of a, hey, you come here, you fight like hell, and maybe the gods will forgive you, or specifically America will forgive whatever crime it was you had. Lo and behold, of course, they've been stranded out here, whether willingly or unwillingly, by America. Because we're left to fill in the blanks as we see fit behind, like, if America, post the Shattering War, even had opportunity to come pull back the Shadow Veil or not. I think it's interesting. So hopefully that there's a lot more of that environmental storytelling of, like, what groups of enemies are where. That comes to light as more people get the chance to play through this game. The fear of spoilers starts to wear out, and some more comfort with like exploring these regions. I still hear a lot of like in videos and theories, a lot of like patently false information where it's just like people have misinterpreted something and there's not a course enough, strong enough to like correct a presumption that they've made, and that's okay. It's okay. It's like 100% okay to be wrong. But as general consensus starts to come together, especially on the very concrete aspects of the DLC and the lore, and the looser aspects of the DLC and the lore that are very much more subject to interpretation, and not just factually based, correct or incorrect sentiments, as those begin to like be solidified, and then we can get into the real meat of like, hey, what's your opinion on this? What are you thinking is happening behind the scenes? I'm really excited for that phase that's starting to creep in, and yeah. In addition to like, if you just want to see me running around and doing stupid stuff, if you want some lore videos and all that good stuff, look around. There's some absolutely fantastic people who do stuff, and I mean, we all love Vadi, but like, Smoketown is out there who is doing some fantastic videos right now, and I don't necessarily agree 100% with some of his theories, but like I think that's all very approachable content, and it's all very like well formulated in the way that trying to piece together stuff, and it's a good listen. I don't know if you're like me, but if you're sitting down for a couple hours and you just have something else to do, and you need that secondary stimulus, you need something else that's tickling one side of your brain, maybe that's it for you. Or maybe I'm that right now. Is that too meta? Is that what we're doing here? Now, I know we're not fully commentating this video, and I'm leaving a lot of gameplay in there, because I want it to be more like, chunk of my thoughts, gameplay. Chunk of my thoughts, gameplay. I'm kind of doing the Mikola approach. Here's a chunk of my flesh that I'm leaving at this cross. You want to see more? Well, you'll have to play through some horse riding through an open plain to get to the rest of it. But, like, I hope that's a good structure. And if it's not, well, we'll adapt. Or we won't. It's just a fun little experiment. And, oh my god, what a perfect spot to ride up to. The Green Turtle Talisman. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, America. Thank you, Miyazaki. Any higher power who is listening to me right now. Thank you for this talisman. I love it. I love it so much. It's a kind of more of a hassle to get to than the regular Green Turtle Talisman, but like, whoever we have to thank and said, hey, remember this probably most used talisman in the game that is like, I don't know, maybe it's not the most used, but I feel like it's got such high value on just about anything that if you're thinking of anything besides DPS like comfort, God, oh, I love that Green Turtle. The fact that they said, hey, let's just slap some more percentage on it. I think it's like only like 5% more recovery speed, but honestly, we'll take every bit that we can get. Feels so good. Thank you so much. This is such a disconnected thought. Are you ready for some cringe content? Because this is it right here. I feel like me versus this Black Knight is a bit of a struggle, and I don't know why. Because I think objectively this is probably one of the easiest bosses in the game. To be fully honest, because he just gives you such a massive punish window every time he uses the Ash of War, the aspect of the Crucible Wings. But like, damn, does he look good doing it? Now, I know that this is probably not the best Ash of War in the game, and that I'm seeing a lot of people who, to make it quote unquote viable or even good, they're having to do pretty wacky things like, use twin blades and then put some bleed grease on them. And for any other weapon that wants to use the Ash of War, it doesn't seem like it's very good on most weapons. Maybe there's I think there's a couple of thrusting weapons, like spears, and maybe some of the great swords that are they have native bleed and could benefit from that more, because I'm not someone who's going to use Blood Flame Blade even if it eviscerated enemies. I probably wouldn't. It would have to. It's hard for me to take the time to buff, especially if I have to move around things. But honestly, for my first playthrough solo, when I was using the aspect of the Crucible Wings on Milady, it felt really good. Now, I'm sure that there's better ways to do that, like to put it on the Guts Greatsword, where you've got a ton more reach. But I really enjoyed it going this way through. And if you happen to like Twin Blades, I'm sure it's going to feel good. Half of the reason I'm struggling so much with, is it Aeneid or Aedeid? This Black Knight here is because that twin blade combo just fucking goes forever, and it's the standard twin blade combo. It's nothing fancy. It's not especially difficult or anything, but much of the DLC, much of the base game is okay, here's your combos 3, 4, 5, and then I think the twin blade shows up with 7 or 8 hits, and it's damn. And that definitely threw me, because it's okay, you're done with your combo now, punish window, and it's nope, I'm still going. And it's oh, I'm going to run right into your knife. I run right into your knife 9 times. Oh boy. But hey, this is such an easy boss to get to too. And I think that's another big perk in this. You just run past. You find a spirit spring. I don't know if there is. I don't actually know how to solve that spirit spring the legit way, and I really hope that they never remove the shackle items interaction with things like the spirit spring, just because it's so convenient. And I need a little bit of convenience. This game is hard enough. I'm not here for the puzzles of it all and the horse parkour. But being able to run here right from the starting area, get to this boss, explore this area a bit, get a really good talisman. That Fire Drake talisman +3 go hard. And be able to fight this boss. To get one of the most visually stunning Ashes of War in the entire game. One that we have been so much clamoring for, so much hype for. And to be able to just get it right at the start for beating, I think he might be a unique quote-unquote boss, but he's not a unique enemy. It's just a regular dude. You gotta come in here, you gotta beat him, and then you get wings! The wings aren't great, but you get them, and that's what matters. And you can get them right at the fucking start. No boss is required to reach here, just one boss to beat it and get the Ash. Worth it. 100% worth it. Especially then, because if you want his Twin Blade, you can just go get it. It's right up there in Shadow Altus. Now, I think you can get it without breaking the Great Rune, but I get nervous around that area, so I kind of don't. But, I don't know. It feels like they were very intentional in what build could come together right at the start. Especially for ones that were using infusible ashes and stuff. I think that's super cool. So, yeah. Go Wings. Oh, Flame Drake Talisman, my love. My other love. I mean, don't get me wrong, Great Shield Talisman's good, but fire is particularly nasty in all of Elden Ring just because it's so unpredictable. And the way that fire spreads, the hitboxes, the way that they can come through the ground, or they can lag, or they can, stay longer than you'd anticipate, a little bit of fire resistance goes a long freaking way. And this talisman makes me so happy. And especially because it's right here along the side entrance to Shadow Altus, or Shadow Altus. It's just so good. Go get it. There's no reason not to. You hop up a freaking cage and you can go grab it. It's perfect. Especially because this is a valuable area in general. Like you're seeing, I'm picking up a ton of human bone shards. There's a battlefield cookbook up at the top of this area, and there's plenty of like other little goodies. Especially if you fight the Omen Killers. I think they do all, for the first time you kill them, drop a good chunk of Blessed Bone Shards, like 4-ish. Those are very valuable for certain builds, because like I think those are used primarily for making the Golden Vow item. And it's like, I don't know if I would ever use that, but it's objectively better than the Ash of War. So like, if you have them, spend them. That's something that I'm trying to, police myself on a little bit better, is that it's really easy to slip into the mindset of, what if I need it later? You can farm it later. Go get it later. Use it now. So, yeah, maybe we'll improve that. And I just need to find my way to the Morth Ruins over here. Shout out to Dryleaf Dane. Just a really cool character. Not much going on under the hood. Not much going on. I want his drip. Where do you get the rest of the drip from besides the hat? Because I don't think he drops it when he dies in the NPC fight. But really cool character. And I really liked that you had a gesture kind of thing built into this. I'm glad that those came back, because the amount of like really fun content that I've seen over the years now of people in Bloodborne getting the tier 3 moon rune, the way that people have fun with that, and the way that people are interacting with these like, may the best one win, I think that's really, I don't know, that's just fun. Sometimes that's all it has to be too. Fun.
Hello again. Did you meet my good? Quite the doubtless it have all come. Were it not, this is what allows us to serve together. The work of a living God. Oh, that man. He's been in the He might be solemn of cheer, but is a fierce warrior nevertheless. There's no cause for concern. Dane's reluctance to speak to you is no fault of your own. We've been acquainted for quite some time, but even I am yet to hear his voice. Perhaps one day. Oh, that man. He's been in the He might be solemn. There's no cause for Dane's reluctance. We've been acquainted. Perhaps one day. Wondering about the horn? True enough. Long ago, a cleansing. It's no wonder that aside, and in this route, they will never say it just happens, but it's still a...
And running over to play with Lita and Hornsent a little bit. I think these are two fantastic characters. Like I said earlier, I think Hornsent is a really interesting character who doesn't really get the most story progression in his, but like, hey, the effort is put in. And a lot of people don't love Lita, and I don't know why. I freaking love Lita. Now, is she a little monotonous? Is she a little, like, says the same things over and over again, same inflection, very reserved? Yeah, but honestly, that only makes the moments where, like, the other aspects of her character shine through all the more entertaining. It's like, I really like Lita as a character and wish we got to see more of her. I understand people hating her, especially because she's a quote-unquote boss. But, like, damn. I'll talk about this again later. You know it will. But, I mean, I'll be gushing about Lita till the cows come home. Just her little line about, like, without kindly Mikla's influence, I seem to be very mistrusting in general. I fucking love that. And it's because she's so monotonous and so, like, reserved, so understated in our other interactions with her, that when that peeks through, I think that shows us a lot. It's just that fun little, maybe I am the weird one. Maybe I am the bad guy. I love that from her, especially because, like, objectively, she is the bad guy. But, yeah. Here we are fighting Dane, and, like, dude, this is fun. I mean, I know people don't like NPCs, like I said, but, like, or NPC boss fights, but this is a fun little encounter. Like, I love that this is a duel. Like, this isn't a jail fight, even though they, use the same kind of, like, veil effect, and they banish everything around us. I think it's just really cool to have that encounter where you can choose to start this little encounter with the duelist. Honestly, I seriously wish all of them had this option where you could have done just a 1v1 with each of the NPCs and have it not be like, not have killed them. Like, I think that'd be just cool. But honestly, if they did, maybe my crushes that I have on the NPCs would be just out of hand. So it's a good thing that Dane doesn't have voice lines till he dies, because it might be a problem. Have you seen that thick set square jawline? Oh boy. Dryleaf Dane is stacked. Well, now that we've beat Dane and we've tried on his hat, that's what we'll be ending the first round for this. Don't actually do any of our new boss fights, or, like, our not shard bearer fights, but our remembrance fights. I wanted to save those for once I had the build up and running. I understood them a little bit more. So, like, if you like this, come back for part 2, and you can see more, and we can do more, and we can keep going. So, yeah, see you next time, and we'll fight some bosses.